Here comes Sims. Pedaling into the paint, leaning and hitting a 10-0 run to start this game for Indiana. And Minnesota wants a timeout. Caitlin Clark knows it.
What Kelsey Mitchell said in the locker room after Indiana's third straight win had her teammates buzzing. The Fever just took down the Lynx without 5 key players, including Caitlin Clark. That moment summed up this team's mindset heading into playoffs. Mitchell's words weren't just motivation. They were a glimpse into how the Fever see themselves. Not underdogs, but contenders rewriting the story in 2025. If you're hyped for the postseason, drop fired up for the Fever Fire in the comments.
I know a lot of people will talk about Nafisa not playing, but I think they're really good without her. You know, they're just a really great basketball team. So I think it was a big win for us because they set the bar high standard wise. We know what to expect when it comes to Minnesota Lynx. And so I think going into the playoffs, it was big for us because, being able to know, guarding Courtney Williams, knowing that her thing is a pull-up, knowing that now instead of not knowing that, it's big for us because we give ourselves a chance. And if they are the standard, we get to see where we are.
How does a team missing 5 rotation players string together 3 straight wins against some of the toughest competition in the league? That's exactly what the Indiana Fever just pulled off. A couple weeks ago, this team looked finished. But even with Clark, Cunningham, Carlson, Chloe BBY, and McDonald sidelined, Indiana flipped the script. For most squads, that would have been a death sentence. For the Fever, it was the start of a turnaround no one saw coming.
Fever done with the MVP, okay? Bow, bow, bow! Hell yeah. You already know what it is. Dubs in the shake, you already know what it is. You already know what it is. Let's go to the playoffs with some momentum, baby.
Remember, this was a team that had dropped 4 of its last 5. Playoff hopes looked shaky at best. Fans were questioning whether Indiana even had the bodies to compete, let alone beat a team like Minnesota. The season that once held so much promise looked like it might collapse right in front of everyone's eyes.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been impressed with these guys since even the offseason, really, the ones that I was able to work out with in the offseason, is how hard they work. It's there's a work ethic and there's a work style. And to approach everything in the same way, to be so energetic, enthusiastic, and dedicated every day. And I felt that way in training camp too. There weren't any days where I had to bring that out of them. So I think it's the nature of the women that we've brought into this organization to continue to just bust their butts and play hard.
But the Fever didn't fold. Instead, they reinvented themselves mid-season. Coach Stephanie White drilled one simple mantra: be where your feet are. That wasn't just coach speak. It forced players to stop worrying about who was missing and instead focus on who was there, what role they could play, and how they could impact every single possession.
It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And, these are things that you have to go through. I often say there's no substitute for experience, and the experience that these guys have had to have to continue to reinvent, to have to continue to find different ways to get back up and to play through some different struggles is not just paying us dividends this season, but as far as what it's doing for our culture, it's going to pay dividends for many years to come.
That mindset showed up instantly against the Lynx. Indiana stormed to a 10-0 start, setting a tone that stunned Minnesota. They dictated the pace, swarmed on defense, and turned hustle into their biggest weapon. Veterans snagged big boards. Reserves dove for loose balls. Everyone bought in. And the result? Indiana earned its first winning record since 2015. Injuries didn't define them. Their response did. And leading the charge was Kelsey Mitchell, whose historic season is reshaping Indiana basketball.
I love y'all!
With Caitlin Clark out, the biggest question was obvious. Who would step up and keep Indiana alive? This wasn't just about replacing her stats. It was about replacing leadership and energy. That Lynx game proved the Fever's depth isn't just surviving, it's thriving. Even without Clark and Cunningham shooting, Indiana leaned into versatility and found new ways to win.
Only 8 teams have ever done that. 7 of them went on to win the title. As Boston gets free and lays it in.
She will be on my first team.
Boston in the paint, sneaks through 2 and lays it in.
Enter Aaliyah Boston. More than just a paint anchor. She became the hub of the offense, moving like a guard in a center's body. She tied her own rebounding record and drew doubles at freed-up shooters all night long. Every touch forced Minnesota to adjust. That's dominance.
Here's Boston off the steal. Coast to coast. And in for 2. Here comes Sims. A little hop. She took it inside the arc. Boston able to finish. Looked like she was getting hugged, but was persistent.
Then came Odyssey Sims, reminding everyone she still has plenty left. Off the bench, she dropped 15 points and afterward called it a fresh start, her own new season. And the way she played, it looked exactly like that.
Williams. Turner finds the cutter. Sims using the window on a really nice pass.
Sims wasn't just delivering numbers. She brought stability. She managed possessions, gave Indiana a steady hand, and opened up the floor. And right when Minnesota tried to claw back, Aerial Powers buried back-to-back threes that crushed the Lynx' momentum. The game shifted right there.
Playing in her 8th game with the Fever in their ever-expanding roster because of their injuries. Williams went for the steal. Powers sticks the jumper from 3.
That was the clear side of the floor, and Natisha Heidemann read the defense beautifully.
Howard, good position on the interior. Draws 2, kicks it out. Powers, you bet. Back-to-back threes from Aerial Powers. Caitlin Clark, euphoric on the bench.
Those shots were daggers, not just because of timing, but because of the confidence behind them. Powers didn't flinch, and her fearlessness gave the Fever breathing room when it mattered most.
Mitchell draws 2 defenders, races away. Home steps inside and flips it in. Really patient. Odyssey Sims with 13, Kelsey Mitchell with 12, Jessica Shepard with 12, Alana Smith with 11. Here's Hull, another.
Kelsey Mitchell.
Lexi Ho proved once again she's way more than a role player. She switched across positions, defended bigger forwards, and still found ways to score. Coaches love players who do the dirty work and still chip in buckets. Ho's versatility has become the backbone of Indiana's defense, and her effort makes her indispensable.
Tonight for Indiana, but then Paulson gives it right back, and Howard cashes in.
To perform like this, but they have 5 different players almost at all times who can bring the ball up the floor. Usually 4 or 5 who are adept at making shots from deep. I mean, you just saw a big there creating her own look as well from Natasha Howard. Career high in terms of her field goal percentage. And you see her here, the little spin to the middle. That's a tough shot.
Natasha Howard quietly held the front court together. She hit rhythm shots, worked the glass, and gave Boston the freedom not to carry everything herself. 5 players in double figures by the end. That's balance. That's trust. And even in street clothes, Clark stayed locked in on the bench, fueling her team with energy every minute.
You know, kind of all the other things like offensive rebounding that she can do.
Knocked away. Boston comes up with a steal. Here's Mitchell veering through the paint and lays it in.
She's so quick, and especially when she gets out in the open floor, you'll see her coming down. The quick left to right crossover just gets by. I thought she was sprinting. I didn't think she was lumbering.
It was a lumber sprint.
Up for the big girl.
Mitchell like a blur. That's a...
Kelsey Mitchell isn't just good this year. She's making history. For the first time ever, an Indiana Fever player is averaging over 20 points per game. That's rewriting the record books for a team that's long been searching for firepower. Mitchell's scoring has been the driving force behind Indiana's first winning season since 2015.
Kelsey, how much pride do you take in the fact that you started in every game now for 2 straight years? And on top of that, you're now the points per game leader in franchise history.
Man, I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm never gonna give up. I'm never gonna if I'm able willingly 2 feet, 2 legs, 2 arms to play the game, because a lot of people can't. I'm gonna play. It may not fall my way all the time, but you never have to worry about me not being present. Especially if I don't have anywhere else to be. So that's just what that is. I'm never gonna not play and compete. You're never not gonna see me sit out if I don't need to. And so it's just about staying. I obviously having rhythm and being who I want to be, but I'm all about basketball when it comes to like just finishing it out.
And the path here hasn't been easy. With defenses loading up on her every night, traps, doubles, denials, Mitchell could have forced bad shots or wilted. Instead, she evolved. She learned when to shoot, when to trust teammates, and when to slow things down. That balance has made role players like Sims, Powers, and Hull more confident, knowing Mitchell wasn't trying to do it all alone.
On that, honestly, you've played against Kelsey a lot, but now that you're her teammate, what stands out to you about her scoring and the way she goes about working on things like that?
Bucket, instant offense, try your best to keep her in front. Trap, that doesn't work. Hard hedge doesn't work. You just gotta play as hard as you can just to really keep her in front of you. Seriously. I mean, a lot of people say, it's a fact, but you ask who's one of the toughest guards, who's one of the hardest guards to guard. She's definitely number one.
I appreciate that.
Hands down.
The numbers speak for themselves. Career highs, a franchise scoring record, and all of it while facing the league's toughest offenders night after night. Even against Minnesota's physical defense, she dropped 18 and controlled the game's rhythm. That's superstar stuff.
Here's Mitchell trying to find an angle and does. Just serving it in with the left hand. Aerial Powers made a big impact off the bench in the first half. Here's Mitchell, open 3. It's good.
The Fever know it, too. They've gone all in on Mitchell's MVP campaign, blasting highlights and graphics everywhere. And honestly, she belongs in that conversation. She's not just carrying Indiana to the playoffs. She's become the face of the franchise.
Kelsey Mitchell is a scorer. She has always been a scorer. For her to not just do what she does well and do it in an efficient manner, but then to take on playmaking abilities for her teammates, I think has really expanded her game a little bit and really showed what she's capable of doing. And by the way, we've had to put her on sometimes the best perimeter defenders or best perimeter offensive players, especially the ones that are in ball screens a lot. So we continue to put more on Kelsey Mitchell's plate, and she just continues to rise to the challenge. So I'm incredibly proud of her. She's been through the ringer, and in this organization, and she deserves to continue to elevate her game in the way that she has, and under different circumstances. So I'm proud of her. She's carried us.
So what about those locker room words? Mitchell told her teammates, "You've seen our growth." For simple words that landed hard. It wasn't about her. It was about them, about a group written off, refusing to crumble, and proving how far they've come together.
That's not stuff you see on the scoreboard, and that's what everybody cares about, what's only on the scoreboard. But I think in order for us to be who we need to be for a playoff run, like the rebounding, knowing who we're guarding, like not having like live ball turnovers was kind of like, it was pivotal in that third quarter. And so we got gut checked because it could have easily flipped the other way. But I think you see our growth.
What happens when a team built for the future suddenly looks ready right now? That's the 2025 Fever. Their winning record isn't just history. It's a preview. This isn't the ending. It's the foundation. Most teams would call survival an accomplishment. Indiana sees it as the beginning of something bigger.
These last 3 games were pretty high-stakes games with playoffs on the line and whatnot. How much confidence does that give you going into the actual playoffs now?
I think it gives us a lot of confidence, knowing that we can meet the moment at times. I think that, if when we get a chance to sort of reflect back, it's how do we meet the moment in every game, as opposed to the ones where your back's against the wall. But every game is a back against the wall game now.
And through it all, Caitlin Clark hasn't gone anywhere. She's on the bench every game, locked in, mentoring, analyzing, and preparing for her return. And when she does, she's stepping into a team with playoff experience, chemistry, and belief. Add Mitchell's record-setting scoring, Boston's rebounding dominance, and a bench full of momentum shifters, and suddenly Indiana looks deeper than it has in years.
With everything that has happened so far this season between the injuries and bringing new people in and all of that, does that make the fact that you have the chance to do everything right to win that championship, does that make that a little more satisfying?
I think so. I think I'm careful to say satisfying as opposed to pleased, right? Like pleased with what we've been able to do, pleased with how we've been able to do it, never satisfied. And I think that's, it's just a part of staying hungry to accomplish things that you've not accomplished as a group before.
Coach Stephanie White deserves massive credit. Her standard over scoreboard philosophy has changed everything. She's building for more than just wins. She's building a culture. Every injury, every lineup shuffle, every test has prepared Indiana for something greater. What was supposed to be a season of setbacks turned into proof of resilience. And now, with the playoffs ahead, the Fever are chasing something no one thought possible weeks ago. If you're riding with Indiana, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a fire fired up for the Fever Fire in the comments.